So this is a game where we throw out 3 news stories and we get your opinion. So the first one is Starbucks is introducing a nitrogen-infused coffee. It's a cold brew coffee and it's going to be available on tap. Matt, what do you think?
I think that's a fly. I've seen actually the nitrogen-infused coffee at some other sort of smaller, less chain-like stores, and it seems to be kind of a hit. Makes the coffee a little bit sweeter. You get a little bit of carbonation in it. I read that Starbucks is going to be putting sort of vanilla cream in it, which is a little too far for my taste, but I think they'll fine-tune that and make it work.
Aaron?
It's going to fly. It's Starbucks. I mean, anything that they have that's new, people are going to try at least once, and if it's sweet and cold, yeah, for sure. Why wouldn't you like it?
I got to agree. I think it's a fly, and especially because cold brew is so hot right now.
It is.
Yes.
Sales are up
Ironically, yes.
340%.
Cold brew is hot. I like that. That's right.
Cold brew is hot.
Headline.
All right, so next, SodaStream is introducing a product where users can make their own beer at home. Aaron, flop or fly?
I'm going with flop. Right? I think we have reached peak craft beer and peak home brew, and this just goes a little bit too far. I mean, if you want to brew your own beer at home, fine, but I don't think you need SodaStream to help you do it.
Yeah. Matt?
2 caveats. First of all, I have not actually tasted this, and secondly, ew, it's a horrible sounding idea. But I actually think it could fly, if only because of the novelty factor, and never underestimate the early 20-something bonehead factor. I think if you convince a bunch of these folks that you could make their own beer, not in 2 weeks or 2 months, but in 2 seconds or whatever, I think that's going to have some appeal to a niche.
I got to agree. I'm going to say fly. I know a lot of people who make their own beer. And it's really hard. I would do it, I think, if they could make
If they made
really
it easy for you. I don't know, Matt, you're a Chicago guy, I'm surprised, but I don't know if you're going to be able to go back to Chicago.
Oh, we're running those guys out of town.
Okay, they're not going to be able to come to Chicago. Right, okay.
But I'm talking about the rest of the country.
Yeah,
less
got it.
enlightened.
Understood.
All right, last one. Investment bank UBS is allowing employees to take a full 2 hours off work per week, provided that they get somebody to cover for them. Matt, what do you think, flop or fly?
So generous, so very generous. But I think, I don't know that this particular policy is generous enough to fly, but I think the idea is going to fly. Banks are under a lot of pressure to make living conditions a little bit better for their staff so that they can better compete with some of the perk-heavy and more sort of, hey, you be you tech culture. And so as competitive and brutal as it is there, I think this overall idea is going to take off.
I say flop just because it's just the culture of investment banking. It's the ultimate type A personalities, and they are not going to ask another one of their colleagues, hey, can you cover for me? That's going to be an embarrassment factor, because if you're seen as leaving earlier than anybody at any time or working less hard, psychologically you get knocked down the ranks and maybe even actually get knocked down the ranks. I just don't think it fits in the culture of an investment bank.
That's a great point. I got to agree. I think they have to work a little harder if they're really going to compete with those tech firms.